Good morning, guys. Good afternoon. Good night. Thank you guys for being here with me today. Bit of a shock. This is going to be a general message for everyone. You can be anyone watching this video. You don't have to be a particular zodiac sign. You don't have to connect to any of that. But there may be something in this video that could help you today, or maybe even in the near future. So I sat with some energy for a minute. I was getting two clear messages, but they feel like it feels like they're coming from different people. But we'll get the message here. So I was hearing a bit of a headache and a bit of a shock. Like one person, something is a bit frustrating. It has been. And to another, they're going to be receiving a bit of a shock. It doesn't feel like anything crazy. It doesn't feel like anything, like super bad. But I do feel like somebody's dead serious. And I got a vision. I don't think this is going to actually have to do with health. So go ahead and know that. It could. But I don't think so. I don't think this is a health message. Okay. But I got a vision of somebody going to the doctor and having like blood work drawn. And the doctor comes back in and is like, listen, no, I'm going to be very serious with you. Your blood work shows that your cholesterol is elevated, and I need you to get on a stricter diet. I need you to stop eating French fries and potato chips, like whatever they say, right? This wasn't my vision. And the patient on the table is like there's a cat hair on my mouth. But I don't see it. The patient is like, oh man, so it's a little bit of a shock, but it's nothing like bad. Like it could be worse, right? It's nothing that can't be fixed or worked on, but also the doctor is not coming from a place of, I'm caring about your feelings. The doctor is being really serious, not like, oh, it's life or death, but hey, I just want to tell you this so that you can take care of yourself. I mean, they're just being like matter of fact, really. I see somebody literally, like the doctor leaning back on the counter. They're standing up and they're kind of leaning back, or just leaning to one side more so, listening to the patient respond after they give them this news that will shock them. Now that's my vision. Again, I don't think that's the message today, but it could be in the near future. Or maybe someone just recently got something like high blood pressure, I'm hearing, or something to do with cholesterol. But what I was thinking is, this could be someone who will be or has already delivered information or spoken very candidly, very openly, very honestly to another person who is shocked by what they hear this individual say. You could be the person that said something or will be in the near future, or another person could be the one saying it, but it's not mean, it's not hateful. Now, how it's perceived, that's on the person who's receiving the information. What's up with the cat hair today? I mean, I do have cats. Oh, there it is. Found it. Yeah. Where was I? I totally forgot. That cat hair threw me off. So, I think the reason that, let's go back to the bit of a headache. I'm going to say that's coming from the doctor in my vision. So I don't get confused. Let's say you're the person who's delivering matter-of-fact type information. Like, this is where I stand, or this is the truth, this is the facts of the matter, this is the proof even, or this is where I stand. Because, again, I see a doctor standing. I have to take that into consideration. It's going to come across very serious. And I think you are. I think you are serious about it. It's nothing you're being mean about. I don't think this is coming from any emotional place. This isn't someone who's delivering a message or someone who's speaking that's mad, angry, someone who's vindictive or malicious, somebody who wants to hurt other people or even incite some sort of emotion out of another person. No, this is someone who's just stating the facts, the truth, their truth. That's it. It's as simple as that. And what it's going to do is cause the patient in my vision, the other person, to kind of be a little bit shocked. Make them sit down for a little bit. You ever heard somebody say, you're going to need to sit down for this? Maybe they have to sit down for this. Or maybe they're sitting down when they receive the communication from you. Vice versa, maybe you're sitting down, or even, I don't know, maybe you need to sit down after you hear something. It's kind of like, okay, I'm going to take this in, this what I just heard, I'm going to take it in, I'm going to think about it. Someone's thinking about it, what another person said. The reason that someone here, you, whoever is delivering the information, the reason this person is kind of coming from a bit of a headache is because I feel like they're tired of having to deliver the same message. They're tired of having to say the same thing because they feel like people just aren't listening, or they feel like a certain person just isn't listening. It's like, you know what? I can talk, I can speak, I can say exactly what I'm seeing, exactly what the truth is. I can tell you the truth, but if you don't want to hear it, you don't want to hear it. You know, it's kind of like the idea of you can go to a different doctor's office. You can choose a different doctor if you don't want to hear it, or something like that. Again, it doesn't have anything to do with health, I don't believe. But it's more so along the lines of maybe I have certain boundaries, or there are certain things in life that, you know, if you do this, this is going to be the probable outcome. You know, it'd be like if you were sitting down with your children as they get older and they're doing certain things, and you're like, hey, I'm just going to let you know, you can make your own decisions. It has nothing to do with what I feel about what you're deciding to do, or how you're acting, or how you're going about things. It has nothing to do with how I feel about it. How I feel about what you're doing and who you are and whatever, it don't matter. My feelings are irrelevant. I left my feelings at the door before I entered this office. What I'm speaking to you on right now is facts. It's the truth. Someone is spitting the truth. I feel like it's you watching the video, or you will be again, or you just did if it's past tense, because we're all on different timelines. I don't know how this is going to play out. Or perhaps you've just heard or will hear something that is, I mean, it's very honest. This isn't someone who's lying. And then the other person is going to be, again, sitting in a bit of shock, like, okay. So then maybe they, like, in my vision, I'm getting it again. They get up and they're like, thank you. I feel like someone's going to take it in, even if they appear that they're not really taking it in. You know, how many times, if we think about actual doctor situations, which again is not what I'm talking about here, but as an example for the message today, how many times have we went to a doctor and they've given us advice, like maybe on our diet or something, stop with the Cokes, you know, and you're like, you take it in, you hear what they're saying, and you know that they're actually just trying to help, they're being honest, but you leave and you go straight to Chick-fil-A and you get a drink, you know what I'm saying, or you go order something off DoorDash and you're like, damn it, I knew I wouldn't, but I was craving it though. I mean, how many times does that happen? You know what I mean? As I'm speaking, I'm getting a phone call, and it's the pharmacy, so I'm going to write that down. Just so I don't forget, because that could actually be part of the message. I did say something about doctors, didn't I? And then I'm like, oh, it doesn't have nothing to do with it. I still don't think it does for the majority. I think it's like a one-on-one basis, and it's not medical. I think it could be romantic, maybe even family, friends, even in the workplace. It's that type communicating. But it's like I'm doing something. When you think of pharmacy, you think of medicine, and usually medicine is there, not always. Sometimes it's an illusion, but usually it's there to help you, or so we think, you know. So someone here that, let's say they are trying to help. They're trying to help. They're reaching out. They don't have to say any of this. They or you, if this is you, you don't have to say any of what you're saying. You don't have to give any advice. You don't have to verbalize whatever you're saying, but you are, because you care. Otherwise, you wouldn't waste your breath. And maybe you feel like you're wasting your breath because no one's listening, or a particular individual, you're trying to get them to see something, they're not listening. But they actually are listening. They are, even if they don't appear that they're listening on the outside, or maybe someone's spoken to you or will, and you have appeared to them as if you don't care or you're not listening. You don't really know where they stand and why they're coming from this angle and what they're trying to get you to see. But eventually, when you think about it and sit on it for a minute, you're like, well, they're right, you know. They're just trying to help me, or they're just trying to get me to see something. You know what I mean? So let's write this down before I forget. You may need to sit down for this. And it could just be energetically speaking, like, I think maybe the universe, God, whoever you believe in, just trying to be open-minded here. Not everybody believes in the same thing, but a higher power maybe here is trying to send some sort of advice to someone, and they're going to send it in the form of bringing it through another person delivering the message, you know, or you being the one delivering the message. The divine comes through you and speaks to say, hey, there's somebody who needs maybe a little bit of direction or a little bit of advice, and you could give this to them. You know what I mean? As long as it doesn't come from an emotional place, more than matter of fact, more than just, it's like get to the point almost, like just get to the point and tell them exactly what it is. I think someone is going to get reached here, like it'll reach someone. I'm also hearing world outreach, something to a church, but something's going to reach someone. It will. It'll either reach you, it'll get you, it'll cut your soul, or you will reach another internally and cut their soul. Like it's going to prick somebody and they're going to get it. It's like a flashlight gets turned on. We used a flashlight yesterday. You know, I see what you're trying to say, or I see what you mean. Now, I don't know if this is going to happen overnight. I don't know if it's going to happen overnight. You know, it's hard to change our views and our ways overnight. I'm still going back to the vision I'm having. I keep seeing the doctor's office. You know, we don't walk out of the doctor's office and immediately, like, we're restored to health. You know, it takes a minute. Same idea when we hear the truth in another area of life, and it takes us a minute to kind of sit with it and then integrate it, learn how to apply it. You know, maybe it's something someone has never given a second thought to. They've never even considered this. Vice versa, someone's never considered or never even thought of what they're hearing or what they're about to hear. It's news to me. It's new to me. Like, I've never thought of that before. I've never seen it that way. I've never heard anyone say that ever. But it actually makes a whole lot of sense. It's less complicated. It's just facts. It is what it is. That's what I'm getting today. It's like, if you don't, something to do with, I want to say if you don't change, but that's not it. That's not the words. I don't think it has to do with like it's not change. Change is not the right word. What's the word, spirit? It's like, well, I don't know. Let's think about this for a minute. What's coming to me at this very moment is, if you were to sit there and know something, not because you're better and not because you're smarter and wiser, but because maybe in this particular area you've already experienced this, whatever this is for you guys. I don't know. It's going to be different for everybody why this message is coming out this way. But maybe you've experienced whatever this is before, so you have experience in this area. Doesn't mean you have experience with who you're talking to. It doesn't mean that you know more than them completely. Maybe they know more than you in a different area. But in this particular area, which is what we're talking about now, you have lived it, you've gone through it, you've been there, so you can see. But you also know, because you're experienced, that you can't necessarily make someone do something, make someone see. Get them to do the research themselves, get them to read, get them to study it, get them to see, wake up. You know, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make them drink it. It's that idea, you know. It's like, if I could just get your attention for a moment, I need you to sit down for this. And, you know, you don't even have to listen if you don't want to, but I hope that eventually later on, you know, it clicks, something I said. It's along those lines. The best way, if you've lived something, to get someone to see something is to open up about your own life, is to use your own stories, your own experience. Because other than that, they think that you just got it out of a book, or you don't really know what you're talking about. But when you start talking about, oh, I do know what I'm talking about, there's a whole lot I could say. There's a whole lot I could say. Even bad about myself, things that'll get you to really wake up and see. If you want to know why I've learned hard lessons and why I know this, and why hopefully what I'm sharing and telling you can be a light to you, otherwise I wouldn't waste my breath, you know what I mean? Is because I've lived it, I've been through it, and it wasn't great, it wasn't fun, hasn't been a walk in the park for me. So if you think I'm just telling you what to do, or that I'm holier than thou and I know better, wrong. The only reason I know what I know is because experience, because I've been through it, because I've seen it. I've seen it firsthand is what I'm hearing. Someone may even say that in the near future. I've seen it firsthand, or I've lived it firsthand. I've done it. So this is the truth. Notice that I'm not giving it. Notice that I'm not saying it because I don't know what it is. It's going to be different for all of us. Whatever it is that you'll be explaining or speaking, or whatever it is that you're hearing being said, spoken, explained to you, it's going to differ. But whatever it's going to do, it's going to make you sit back and think. Actually, maybe you want to sit down, or you will be again when it's said. And I think it's going to be really wise advice. I think it's going to be wise direction or information or a wise example. Like, oh, okay. Truth. You know, it's like truth. Yeah, 100%. Like, it's like that. You know, I agree, but only after somebody sits back and thinks about it for a minute are they going to see that somebody's just been trying to help them. Someone's just been trying to get them to wake up or see or realize something that maybe they hadn't thought of yet. Because also, if you go back to my vision and you think about if you were to go into a doctor, what do we go to the doctor for usually? Checkups or help. Either somebody is dealing with another person because they're coming to them for advice or help during this particular interaction, or they're coming to them for some sort of checkup, just checking up on them, but then they end up getting more than they bargained for, which if they sit with it, it's like, wow, I'm really thankful that I didn't come here for this today, or I didn't expect us to have this conversation today, or me to get this message today, but I'm glad that I did, you know? It's food for thought. It gives me something to think about. It's word to the wise, or food for thought, things like that. Yeah. I hope I'm making sense. It's hard when your head's stopped up and full of snot, you know? It's like somebody's got I'm thinking Walgreens pharmacy, somebody's got the antidote. And the antidote is the damn truth is what it is. I'm hearing hard pill to swallow, and it may be shocking. It may be like, what? Everything that I've been thinking this whole time is different than what it, and it's like, yeah, it's actually very simple. You know, there's like natural remedies. I'm thinking of like a holistic doctor. It's like, it's actually quite simple. I use this example a lot, but I'm thinking of what better person to explain tattoos to somebody seeking to get a tattoo than someone who's had tattoos. You know what I mean? Just kind of like you see, I don't know if they have these shows anymore, but you know, like when they would have people who were like past convicts or something, or who had been in jail or prison before for drug dealing or whatever they had done, fighting weapons, and they get out and they want to lead a better life because experience, right? You live, you learn. And so they go to troubled teens and they teach them basically because of their own experience. From their own experience, they're like, hey, straighten the fuck up, or you're gonna end up in here like I was. If you don't, and you can hear me, or you can be reluctant and go right out these doors like we do when we go to the doctor's office, and still go buy you a Happy Meal, like whatever you want to do. Now, of course, if you're buying a Happy Meal, don't get all offended. I mean, people are just so, you just got to listen to the message. I speak in examples. I use examples. It doesn't have to be literal. You know what I mean? I mean, it could be. All right. Let's use myself here as an example. I use this one often, but I like to use this one because I know very much about alcohol. Now, again, I want to give the disclaimer and preface this by saying, if you drink and you're all for it, then more power to you, okay? This isn't a judgment on you. It's not a judgment, just like your doctor isn't judging you when they give you information. I love that. I love that. And you know what? I wouldn't have been able to hear that. That was my daughter playing. I wouldn't have been able to hear that 5 years ago had I not got sober. I'm nearing my 5th anniversary of sobriety. And I am proud. Okay? But it would be like, as an example, me, as I get on here saying, hey, these are the reasons that alcohol is not a good idea and that it's a lie and it's illusion. And you can say all day long, we'll do it in moderation. It doesn't matter. Alcohol is, and it does mean body eating spirit for a reason. There's a reason it's referred to as brew or spirits. It's a fucking spell that is not seen as a spell, and it slowly trickles, and it literally killed my father, my biological dad. It killed him slowly. If you look up anything about alcoholism, it is a slow death. People be like, well, I'm not an alcoholic. Do you think that years ago I thought I was going to be an alcoholic? No. This is what I'm talking about. This type of communication is what someone's going to get. Very, very matter of fact, very serious. Or like when I say, hey guys, we're just awareness. There's no need to get offended if I don't put certain zodiac signs out. Doesn't mean I have favorites and that I like one more than the other. I don't care about any of them ultimately, because I've had an awareness now after being really immersed in astrology and zodiacs. Not that they're wrong or bad. If you are, it doesn't matter. But I've seen something different, that we're actually none of it. We, as the awareness itself, the consciousness, has none of these identities, and that is the truth. But it's the truth that's unfavorable. People do not like to hear that truth because everybody wants details. They want details to better understand themselves. You better want to understand yourself, then forget these identities, forget all these things. But if you say that, then you lose people. You lose their attention, you lose their interest, because they must know better, you know? And it's like, well, if you stop getting offended and do the research yourself and really go within, you'd see that maybe this whole time you've been wrong. And it's not me pointing the finger. Here, it's me saying, guess who else did it? Me. There's nothing wrong, I guess, with if you choose to study certain things and do certain things. It doesn't, you know what I mean? Just like there's nothing wrong, I guess, if you want to have your drink or whatever. This is not me trying to tell you what to do. And if you take it that way, that's on you. This is me saying, I didn't ask you to click on my channel. You clicked on it. Just like a doctor doesn't ask you to come to their building and choose them as a doctor. If you don't like someone, go somewhere else. If you don't like what they're saying, don't involve yourself with them. It's that simple. It's along those lines. This is the message today. Either you're going to be giving this to someone or someone's going to give this to you. Like, I didn't twist your leg. I'm not forcing you to see something my way, just as I did not force you to watch my channel. It's along these lines. It can come off as bitchy. If you're a guy, whatever, it can come off as mean, cruel, asshole. But it's like, again, that's just an opinion. Because what you're actually doing, I'm seeing somebody who's actually, again, go back to the vision of the doctor. This has nothing to do with emotions. This has nothing to do with I'm right, you're wrong, I'm big, you're little, I'm smart, you're dumb, and there's nothing you can do about it. I'm hearing Matilda, the movie. This has nothing to do with that. This isn't about ego. This is about experience. It's about, the reason that I don't do certain things anymore is because I have seen a certain path now that I didn't see before, and so I put away these things. Doesn't mean everybody has to. It doesn't necessarily mean that you're wrong if you do, because everybody here has their own path. Everybody has their own path. If we didn't have some people that never overcame, I'm going to use alcohol again as an example. If we didn't have certain people who didn't overcome their alcoholism, who didn't die from it, we also wouldn't have teachers. They're also our teachers. If you didn't have certain people here like me who were severe alcoholics and almost died from it, but by the grace of God has been allowed to come back from it and then teach others what the harms of it truly are. You know what I'm saying? Like, we all have our purpose here, and we're never truly off our path. We're always on it, even if it feels like we are so far removed. And it's brutal. And then when you come back from it, if you are lucky to come back from it, and you talk about it, then people get in their feelings. They get a shock. They get, because it's not always something they want to hear. And then they go against you, and they are all like, you know what? I just don't, I'm sorry that I'm not favorable. But maybe one day when you sit somewhere and you're struggling from the same thing I did, I'll click in your head one day and you'll be like, oh wait, let me see if I can find that girl again online. I'm just using that as an example, but let me see if I can find that girl again online who once I judged and thought, well, you know what, I'm gonna unsubscribe from her. I'm gonna not watch her videos anymore because she's just a bitch. You know, she's just this and that. And it's like, okay. You know, I don't take offense to that because I did it too, trust me. And then you sit back and you're like, oh, like you see it later on. You see that somebody was just trying to help you. I think that someone's going to see that you were just trying to give advice. You were just coming from an I place. You were just saying, you know, this is why I say these things. This is why I see these things, because I've done it. This is why I don't hex people anymore, even if it's just I'm trying to get them back for things they've done, you know, actually done. Who am I to play fucking God? You know what I'm saying? There's enough karma in the world. I'm not sending anything back. I'm not returning to sender anymore. I mean, there's reasons I say shit. Which is also telling on myself. If that's not me being humble, I don't know what the fuck is. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like that. It's like, damned if you do, damned if you don't. So you might as well tell the truth anyway, because people are going to like you or not like you regardless, you know? You're better off just being honest, being blunt. You win some, you lose some. You're probably going to lose more than you win. Or you'll do this like I do. And if you don't do this, you got to ask yourself something. Am I just saying what people want to hear? Or am I telling them truth from experience that this won't necessarily be your outcome? Let's say if you tip the bottle, we'll use that one example. But if you tip the bottle, it may not be your outcome. I hope it's not. But it could very well be your outcome. You think I want to deliver this message to you? You think I want to tell you, hey, if you have unprotected sex, you could get pregnant unless you want that. You know, it's like somebody giving someone it's a matter of fact type, this is the deal. If you involve yourself in affairs, not only will you be cheated on in the future, possibly, but you could get shot and killed because people is crazy over there, people. You know, you talking to my man and my woman, it's like, don't even get involved in that shit. People love you, they'll do the right thing. The right thing is, and be honest, you know, be honest and stay with who you're with if you love them, and if not, then leave. It's like this, right? It's messages that people don't want to hear, but they need to hear. They need to fucking hear. But they don't want to hear because we're all about control in this life. We're all about control and thinking that we know everything. The more knowledge that we gain and the more that we study, and it's about the more that you live, the more that you've lived it. You may get away with certain things for a while. You may get away with hurting people for a while. You may get away with neglecting the truth for a while. You may get away with a million things for a while. Till one day, it grabs the shit out of you and drags you right back to reality where you're kicking and screaming and you're like, no, no. Because if it ain't me who's going to show you, it'll be somebody else. And maybe your own self will reveal it. And then you'll see. That's how I learn. It's a bitch, too, to learn that way. You ever hear that saying? I don't know who said it, but where it's like, learn from other people's mistakes because you may not live long enough to make you all your own. To make them all yourself. Why did I not see that sooner? I don't know. I don't have those answers. And shoulda, coulda, woulda, right? Can't go back. You cannot get time back. But that's the damn truth, you know. But my dumb ass is like, oh no, I'm going to go make them on myself because it's my life. And, you know, I can blah, 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 blah. And so, yeah, you know, I just wanted so bad to be someone, but I am. I should just be. There's a whole lot more peace in being than being someone and feeling that I have to take on these identities and I need to live up to whatever my family was and my bloodline. And I must be good at tarot and magic and casting on people and protecting myself. You know how I protect myself? Staying the fuck aware. Staying aware and staying real with myself. You ain't going to be able, it don't matter any amount of whatever I'm going to surround myself with, sage, Florida water, candles, this and that, to protect myself from the evil out there. People going to still send me the evil eye. People still going to hex me. People still going to do what they want to do. Do you know what I mean? It don't matter, no matter how long I choose to stay single, and so I don't get hurt and cheated on or whatever my reasoning is, I'm going to get cheated and hurt on in a different way in life until I learn a fucking lesson. You see what I'm saying? It'll always hit you in a different way. It's about sitting with yourself and being like, okay, well, there's nothing necessarily wrong with me learning things and discovering things and practicing things, as long as I'm aware that all of these identities that I pick up are just weight on my path. It's like putting rocks in a backpack and carrying them as you hike. The less identities you have, the less you feel you need to become. The less labels you have, you still gonna get them. People gonna give them to you. But the less that you allow yourself to identify, you know what I'm saying? The less that you feel you need to be, the more. You are very simple. Our awareness, our consciousness is very simple, and that is who we truly are. So you can get offended by certain things in life. I was very offended when I found out that I was lied to about my birth time. I was. Oh my God. I was so offended because for so long, especially on my channel, especially when I did tarot, I was like, oh, I know it. And I'm a Pisces moon and a Gemini rising and all these things that I thought that I was due to a time I was given that I found out was not the time. I found out a whole lot of other shit too. But I'm like, what the hell? You know, everybody else gets to know who they are. And I'm like, oh my God, wait, well, I can be so mad about that. I realize that, do they really know who they are? Do they better understand themselves because they've decided, their consciousness has decided to take on an identity because of a time? That doesn't mean they're wrong. But let me teach a simpler way. A way that actually exists that people forget. That people are programmed to forget. None of that fucking shit matters. None of it fucking matters. It doesn't matter. You don't have to be anything. You don't have to have a whole lot of details. You are a combination of gathered experiences. And the more you take on, the heavier it gets. It's when we unpack and peel away these identities that the true self is revealed. When we stop feeling like we need to become something and we just be. We're human beings. As you've heard, we're human beings, but we're always human doings. We're never just a human being. We can't. We can't. Because when you're just the human who's being, you make less money. And how are we going to survive? Well, this is exactly how it's functioning. How the shadow is in control right now in the world. Shadow energy. And it's because everybody feels they need to be something. They feel they need to do something. They need to take on all these identities and this and this and this to acquire all this money and all these things because we got to survive, right? We have children to take care of. We have to feed ourselves. We have to put roofs over our head. It has well been designed to constantly stay busy and to constantly do things and take on identities so we put on more clothing and forget what we truly fucking are in our core. And then, God forbid, you try to do that, you offend everybody around you. You offend people when you expose things like this. Because then they're like, are you trying to say something about me? Did I? I'm pretty sure if I wanted to say something about you, I would say your name. I would call you the fuck out personally. But I can't do that because that's not actually my aim. I'm calling myself out by saying these things. By the fact that I had to unpack my identities. I'm still doing it. I'm literally still doing it. Every day, I'm unpacking things that I feel I need to be. To, make people better understand me. You don't need to understand me. Understand what? I am very simple. I, the consciousness, am very simple. I am just observing all of these awarenesses inside of myself. That's it. I, the consciousness, am observing this human condition that I'm living and all of the identities that I have. I'm just seeing it. That's it. But I, myself, am none of these things. I'm just the observer of them. Now, that's really hard to wrap your head around, isn't it? It's hard, isn't it? So when you're giving this speech or when you're speaking to whoever you're going to be speaking to, if this is you, most people aren't going to get it. They're going to run out there, and they may even go out in the parking lot and protest against you because, did you hear what she said? Did you hear what he said? And it's like, you're going to have it. You already know you're going to have it. You know what I mean? Mad at you because they walked into your doctor's office and they got told something that they didn't want to hear. You're going to have it all. But you may every now and then have somebody who's willing to sit down and listen and be like, whoa, wait a minute. Wait. And maybe even some of them that run out into the parking lot and protest against you and make a big scene and say how you're crazy or whatever they're trying to say. Maybe eventually they wake up. They have a little wake-up call. You never know. Some of them do. And then they come right back in and say, hey, back there when I did that, I'm sorry. And then you're like, don't be sorry. Truly. The only reputation or identity that you tried to destroy of mine was something that wasn't even real anyway. So, even if you didn't come from a good place, I needed what you did just as much as you needed what I said. We needed each other to wake up, to see. But most people will be against you. Most people will be, they will. They'll leave you. They'll leave you. You'll lose. You'll continue to lose. It's all about unpacking. And then you'll be like, am I doing something wrong? Am I not? What are you doing wrong? You came here with nothing. You came here with nothing. You know what I mean? Nothing at all. Just as you are. The more you lose is just bringing you closer back to your original self. That's all it is. But it feels like loss because how are we going to survive in this world? Well, you're not made for this world. You're not made for it. You're just in it. Experiencing. That's all we're doing. We're just experiencing. Experiences. But we are not these experiences. We are openness and awareness. Kind of like Muji says, I guess that's what he means when he says we are just the space. It's hard. I know it doesn't happen overnight. It is hard to wrap our heads around, you know, because I feel like I've lost some people here, like lost mentally. They're still here. They're still here watching me, but it's like, wait, I'm trying to get it. That's all that it takes, you know, is just when you just try to get it. Because I still haven't figured it out. How many times do you guys hear me say that? Trust me. I'm still, you know, it's very hard to like unprogram yourself. This will be like a computer trying to not be a computer in a way, you know? When you're taught from the moment that you are born, you know, let's say it like this. When you are programmed with stuff, information from the moment you come through this existence, and you're the computer, aka the baby, the infant, the newborn, and then you're programmed by people who are also programmed to program you. They don't even know they're programmed. The program is programming the program. That's very hard to get out of. And I feel like if we ever truly do, is when we actually die. Well, not all of us. Sometimes we die before then we don't get to. Everybody has a different mission here. Some people won't. Some people that's not there, they didn't come here to do it, you know? But some will. You call these ascended masters. That's the goal, at least, is to ascend to where you unidentify with what you've always believed that you are, or what you have grown to believe that you should become. There's really nothing to become, but rather to unbecome. That's more so what it is. But that is not popular opinion. Nobody wants to hear that. And nor will you get anyone in your doors if you start off with that. You know what I mean? So if you want to reach more people, it's like, well, I kind of have to label it a certain thing. I have to label it a certain title. Aries, Aquarius, I have to label it certain things Because if I don't, the average individual here is not going to get it. But then once they come in, you're like, wait, I'm going to go ahead and tell you, it doesn't matter if you see yourself as an Aries. You're not really. Why is that offensive? Like, we are taught growing up that if somebody says, like, imagine a kid, right, on the playground, and then they got a bully saying, you're nothing, you're no one, which, by the way, I did hear growing up, and not by people on the playground, but by a family member. Yeah, I heard those words, and I am gonna talk about my experience in life, but I can't, when I put my story out, and I mean my whole entire story, when I put it out, because it's coming, I am not going, there's no need to give names. I will not give names. I'm going to do it in a very understanding, open-minded way. Because it's also not going to come from a place of, oh, these things happened to me. And no, they happened for me. I wouldn't be where I am today. I wouldn't have the vision I do today had these things I had not experienced these things, had I not observed them. You know, nor are they actually who I am at my core, but they did influence my life greatly. They influenced my experience on this earth. So I've just been holding them all in because it's like I want to express these things in the appropriate way where people know it's not about trying to punish anyone. It's not about trying to get back at anyone. There need not be any names dropped. But more so to just release my own awareness from them, to detach instead of harbor it and hold on to it. So it's like I have a little cubby in there where I know it's not who I am, but it has influenced my experiences here. And so therefore, in order to let it out, it needs to be expressed as if you're like popping a pimple or something. You know what I mean? It's giving the idea of like when you see people who do commercials and stuff, and like let's say there's a Coke bottle in the commercial, but then they gotta bleep out the label. It's like that idea. To free your mind, the rest will follow. Be colorblind, don't be so shallow. Somebody wants to free their mind here. So I guess we could say truth is coming out. This is what's shocking. It's a headache to even have to talk about this shit. But, you know, the people who are shocked about it is like, you see how you're taking this? Imagine what I fucking experienced. Exactly. Knowing that I'm going to be explaining these things and that I may have feelings that arise due to these things, but at the end of the day, they don't fucking matter. You think anybody's drying my fucking tears over it? No. Because ultimately, I have to be aware, if I want to ascend past it, I have to be aware that it all happened for me. For my soul to realize a whole bunch of shit that it had forgotten the moment I came through those beef curtains, aka the vagina. I think I was actually a cesarean. I'm not really sure. I was probably lied to about that too, but again, it taught me. It taught me, you know what I mean? I hope I made sense, but anyway, I'm going to leave this here. I love you guys so much. Thank you for being here with me on this planet, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.